October the 12th, 2011. And I'm going to be talking about something that is not existent within the National Football League today. I have no idea why. I can't understand it. And I'm going to explain it. And just maybe one or two head coaches or what may happen to see this somehow, or they'll just figure out the obvious that I'm going to explain because there's no reason why this is not happening right now. And it's a copycat league. Once one team does it, that means 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 teams do it. And let's now go over it. I got four different boxes. I'm going to start with the top left, move to the bottom left, top right, and bottom right. Now, when you go for two, what this means is after a touchdown, you start the ball. You have the ball at the 2 yard line, and if you want to choose to bring an offense in and you get the ball where you normally get a touchdown past the planks, then you get 2 points. If you fail to do so, you don't score anything. Plain and simple. If you decide to kick it, you get one. And it's a very easy field goal. So I'm going to start, I'm going to read the blue part, but I'm going to go over this level here. This is some stats from opposingnews.com regarding the 2 point conversion, stating that when it's a pass attempt, there's been 525 situations and they succeed 43.4% of the time. You got to hit at least 50% to make it worthwhile without even caring about the score. When the quarterback runs, it's 74.5%, so basically 3 times out of 4. Those are usually situations where you have a quarterback bootleg to one side or the other, and even Tim Tebow style runs where he just like a quarterback draw, all those sort of deals. If they see that the end zone's there, they run there and they get it. That's what they do. Now, remember, that's 74.5%. Yeah, sometimes it's not as good as it looks because there's nothing available, so the quarterback has to throw it, and, well, it's incomplete. And that goes on the passes column. So you have to think of that as well. However, the league average is around 47%, and even running back runs are 57.4%. So if you have a good running back, that's what, like I was going to say, that's why Minnesota's on the top right side of teams that qualify. We'll go over that in a bit. But if you got a good running back, just try it. He's probably going to get it more than half the time. Therefore, if you get it, say 60 times out of 100, you're going to get 120 points. Now, if you would have kicked it 100 times, you might miss it once and therefore get 99 points, and there's a difference of 21 points on the upside over the long-term time frame. And the second half, you look at this in a much different spectrum, as if you're up by 2 points, say 23-21, you score a touchdown, there's 3 minutes to play. In the third quarter, you're not going to go for two because if you kick it normally, it's going to be 30-21, a 9-point game, a 2-possession game. Whereas if you miss it going for two, it's still a 1-possession game. But you can still have situations where you want to think about it, and it's a 3-point game. You get a touchdown. There's a few minutes left in the third quarter. What do you want to do now? You got a 9-point lead now, so you definitely got a 2-score game. Therefore, do you want to go for two and make it an 11-point game? What that means for them is that if they would choose to go for a field goal, they're gonna have to go for two. No choice. And if they miss it, that means they can win the game with a touchdown and a field goal, or at least take the lead on that state. So there's a bunch of teams on the top right-hand side that I think should qualify for it. I'm not going to go over every team, but you really want teams that can control the offense. Like New England and New Orleans, they got power running backs, they got great quarterbacks. San Diego, Ryan Matthews is starting to play better, so maybe they qualify. Then you got running quarterbacks, Philadelphia. Even Cleveland with Colt McCoy, they've already got the monster in Peyton Hillis. You got Denver now as Tim Tebow is starting within their team. And I just think there's many teams that should be doing this, and there's none going on as we speak. So an example on the bottom right-hand side, we have a box score example. Let's assume that it's the first quarter. And assume 4.5 minutes in, Miami gets a field goal. These guys play in a week and a half from this broadcast. Well, what does that tell you? That's normal football. You got a 3-point lead. But it's not normal football for Denver to turn around, go for two, and then Tim Tebow's looking to run, but there's a guy there, say a safety or a linebacker, and he flips it over for Aaron Decker. He gets two that way. Maybe he does run it in and it's 8-3. But you say to yourself, let's do it because they're not going to expect it. After all, no teams do it. Not a single team does it. I do not understand why Bill Belichick doesn't do it because I consider him to be a mad genius as well, as far as finding great strategies. So let's assume they get an 8-3. They're surprised as anything, but they're going to be thinking the next time, or they won't be as surprised. And you can see late in the second quarter, they would go for two again. Let's assume Miami gets a touchdown, make it a 10-8 lead for Miami. Denver scores a field goal to make it 11-10, and they get a touchdown again. So they go for two and assume again that they get it. It's 19-10. Now, if they didn't get it, it's 17-10. It would have been exactly the same old deal anyway. And oftentimes, you're going to notice that more than 90% of the times, it's not going to matter if you make them or not. You're going to win or lose regardless of the fact of whether you went for two or not. That's going to be common most of the time. But sometimes it's not, and it does change the complexion of the game. So Denver has a lead of, say, 19-10 at the half. It could have been 17-10, but no, it's 19-10. So the third quarter, Miami gets a touchdown. No need for them to go for two, and because of the 2-point conversions, Denver's got a 2-point lead rather than a tie game. And by looking at the fourth quarter, you can see touchdowns for both teams, where if they didn't go for two, this game would have been 24-24 going into OT. But Denver would have started this off with the touchdown, and they would not have went for two because of what I explained in the bottom left. If you have a 2-point lead, you get a touchdown, it's just not worth it to go for two. Now, if it's 2-0 in the first quarter because you just got a safety, now that's a different story, but that's in the third and fourth quarter, you play more towards the score because it's easier to manage how the game's likely to play out. And if Miami's down by 9 points trying to get a touchdown, they do realize that they're going to have to get a field goal as well. Let's assume they didn't get it, and it was because of the 2-point conversions that maybe they would have won this game. And this would have been one of those 10 games or one of those 14 or 15 games where it actually makes a difference. But if you're on the positive end, that means maybe 2 times out of 3 where it makes a difference, it's for a good difference rather than that of a bad difference, which is really what it all comes down to. And I want to do a final note within Tim Tebow. I know this is really a little bit off subject, but it's kind of not. Congratulations, Tim, for becoming the new starting quarterback again for the Denver Broncos. And I was thinking earlier, if you have a situation of an unorthodox quarterback like Tim Tebow, unorthodox meaning you don't play the normal standard quarterback book with the guy because that's not his style. His style is being the dangerous mobile athlete that he is, getting outside the pocket and making plays both through the air and on the ground. Therefore, if you're in a situation where you don't know much about him, I mean, you got a lot of tape you can look at, but you just go to Tim and you ask him, well, what kind of plays do you think you could take Miami out with? Or what type of trick plays do you like to do? And let's just try to focus the best we can on how we can implement this against the Miami Dolphins. And I think that would be extremely successful. I'm looking forward to that game. Not only that, but that Miami game will be in Florida, where he played in college. But not only that, it is a reunited for the national champion Florida Gators, which also means that the center of the Dolphins was his center in college. He was a first round pick of the Dolphins out of Florida. Therefore, there will be a little reunition there. Is that a word? But don't be surprised if a lot of fans will be Tebow fans within this game, or at least enough to take away the major advantage that home teams generally have in the games. Thank you for tuning in to this video. Take care.